And here we go with podcast number 2, finding the x-intercepts for this function, which is a parabola. So the graph looks something like this. And there's 2 places where it crosses the x-axis, so we're trying to find out what does x equal over here and what does x equal over here. Well, for those 2 values, the y is equal to 0, which means that we set this function equal to 0 and use the quadratic formula. After that, we're going to use the graphing calculator to check our answer. Or answers, I guess I should say. All right, just as a quick reminder, in blue, the quadratic formula goes x is equal to negative b plus or minus the square root b squared minus 4 times a times c, all divided by 2a. That is a formula that we're going to use a lot in this class. So we've got the a as a 2, the b is a negative 4, and the c is the negative 2, or the constant. So the quadratic formula is going to look like negative b plus or minus, and then the b needs to be squared. So the 4 as well as the negative needs to be squared, so that should be in parentheses. And then minus 4 times the a, which is a 2, and the c, which is a negative 2. And then just make one big fraction bar, and it's divided by 2 times a. And you could just go and put this in the calculator right now, or you could clean it up a little bit. For example, this would be negative times negative, so that's positive 4. And then inside the square root, negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. And then this will be negative 4 times 2, which is negative 8, times another negative makes it positive, and then 8 times 2 is 16. So I have another positive 16. And then the whole thing is divided by 4. Or I could even say inside the square root, a 16 plus a 16 is a 32. And then go over to the calculator and find out what that equals. So we would have, first of all, put parentheses so the calculator knows this is what is in the numerator. 4 plus the square root, so second square root of 32. And then move to the right to get out of the square root and put parentheses to say that's the numerator, and it's divided by 4. So we get 2.414 as one answer. And then you could either retype it, or you could go up and grab that and just move over to the plus sign, change it to a minus sign. So the other answer is negative 0.414. And then I want to go to the graph. So go to y equals, and then put 2x is squared minus 4x minus 2. And we should see a parabola, and there's one answer over here, which is the negative 0.414, so that's correct. And then the positive 2.414 is correct. But if you don't have a touch screen, you can go to second calculate and then type in the negative 0.414, and it'll say x equals negative 0.414, and that is the x-intercept on the left, and then 2.414 is the one on the right. And then let me just go back to my work and finish it up. So with this one, it said find all of the x-intercepts, so that's just asking about what x equals. So we don't actually have to write it as a point, it's just x equals the negative 0.414. And right here is a little pop-up ad for decimals. So when you write a decimal, you can write 0.414, or you could write 0.414, and they mean the exact same thing. The only reason for putting the 0 in front is in case somebody has sloppy handwriting and maybe it looks like this. And you're like, is that the number 414? And the person says, no, can't you see my decimal? It's right there. No, I cannot see your decimal. But if there was a 0 sitting in front of it, then somebody might say, why did they put a 0? Oh, it's because there's a decimal. Okay, so anyway, my point is you can write it either way with the 0 in front, or you don't have to put the 0 in front. And then the other answer was 2.414. So there are my two solutions.